Hey everybody, Rory McDonald from MacDon and Associates coming to you with the next episode of Tuesdays with Rory. And on this particular episode, we're going to be talking about some of the things that you need to be thinking through when it comes to purchasing a home. Now, first and foremost, this is before you take the step of actually going out and looking at houses. There's nothing wrong with you pulling up Zillow or Realtor.com or working with a real estate agent and having us send you listings that are coming on the market. So you're not needing to stay up super late and look at things on Zillow. But this is actually even before the process of you going and talking to a lender, for example. There's nothing wrong with that. And if you need a lender for kind of your next steps in getting pre-approved, we'd be happy to hook you up with some quality lenders that exist here within the state of Michigan to help you through that next step. But 6 things or questions that you need to really just be considering when it comes to, is this timing? Does it make sense for me right now when it comes to buying a house? Are the following. The very first one is, looking at your income, assessing your income. Are you in a position? Are you in a job where your income is stable, or are you, looking in a job where things are a little bit more unstable? Maybe you're a 1099, or you own your own business, and you've owned that business for a while, but you haven't really sat down and gone over your finances to look at, hey, where am I at? What am I making? What can I afford? And a lot of the best places to begin when it comes to this is looking at your rent payment. What is my rent payment? What can I afford as far as my month-to-month payment? And to be honest, if you're somebody who is renting right now, you know that the rent payments continue to go up year over year. Your landlord might not even be fixing anything or changing anything within the house, and that rent payment continues to climb year over year. It continues to go up. That's normal. That happens with rent, and the reason for that is inflation exists. The cost of a landlord to own that home, it's going to continue to go up. So, does it make more sense for you to stay in a rental and have a little bit more volatile of a payment where it changes on a year-to-year basis? Or does it make more sense for you to be locked in with some sort of fixed rate where it's not going to go up? In fact, it can actually go down should you decide to reassess, or refinance in the future. But first and foremost, you got to assess your income. What can I afford? What can I dedicate to when it comes to purchasing a home? And if you look online, there's some different rate calculators and what it is, the type of conventional loans or FHA loans. A percentage of your income it can't go over a certain percentage of your income when it comes to the particular type of loan that you might go through. So you can look that up online just to get an idea. Kind of the first step is assessing your income. The second step that you're going to look at is determining what kind of budget that you want to work through. So things that you can include in this is, down payment when it comes to purchasing a house. For a first-time home buyer on an FHA loan, it's 3.5%. If you are a first-time home buyer and you're going conventional, maybe you have a little bit better interest rate, you can put as little as 3% down on that down payment. However, you also got to be thinking through your monthly mortgage payment. What is my monthly mortgage payment going to be? Am I going to be able to afford it? Am I going to be able to move forward with that? And then all the other costs that come with closing on a house. You're going to have to pay for your first year's worth of insurance. You're going to have to pay for a title commitment when it comes to buying a title commitment for your lender policy. You're going to have to cover things like maybe some real estate agent fees, paying them, covering an origination fee, the inspection or due diligence period. Maybe you have to get a survey of the land that you're purchasing. All those different things are factored in, and they are costs associated with buying. So knowing your budget going in is super, super important. The third thing, and this mostly revolves around the lending side, is your credit score. What is your credit score at? Are you below a 600? Are you higher than a 620? Are you higher than a 650? That all matters too. It'll help you assess and determine, okay, what's the best route for me to go when it comes to the type of loan that I'll be using. If you're below, I believe it's a 620. And again, I'm not a lender. Talking to a lender would be the best person to have these numbers really bounced off of. But if you're below, I think it's a 620. The best route typically to go is an FHA loan versus a conventional loan. But knowing your credit score is incredibly important. And when you talk to that lender, you can actually ask them to do what's called a soft credit pull instead of a hard credit pull, which puts a little ding on your credit. So third step is knowing your credit score. The fourth piece in, kind of considering the idea of questions to ask when it comes to buying a home. The fourth thing is Am I prepared for the additional cost of owning a house? Obviously, before you even buy, you're going to have an inspection, you're going to have an appraisal, there's going to be repairs potentially that need to take place in the house. And on top of that, things that need to be fixed just in owning a house, like, something happens with the basement where the sump pump goes out. You're going to have to fix that. Or something happens that there's a leak within the roof. You're going to have to fix that. All of those things are things that you need to be prepared for as additional costs when it comes to buying a home. So be prepared for that. Know the additional costs when it comes to buying a house. The third step, and I think that this is probably the most important one, is, are you planning to stay in that area, in that location where you're buying a house? Are you planning on staying there for a long time? If you're a renter, the kind of the nice thing about renting is, after a year or even breaking your lease, you can get out of that lease and move on to something else without having to finish out the remainder of your lease period. Or it could be only a year long, versus buying a house. If you decide, you know what, it's time for me to leave, it's time for me to go somewhere else, I want to move out of state, or there's a job opportunity somewhere else, you're going to have to sell the home, which is a longer process than just moving out of the house, renting a U-Haul, throwing all your stuff in it, and moving to the next place. Excuse me. Selling a home can take upwards of 30, 45, even 60 days when it comes to selling a house, depending on location, depending on price point. But all that's really important when it comes to determining, okay, is this where I want to be long term? Because that is a risk that you run buying a house. You're going to be there a little bit longer than if you were renting a home. The fourth one, and this is also super important, do I see any major life changes coming? Is my family in the process of expanding? If so, okay, well, school district might be something that's super important to you in the future. Lifestyle, what it is that you're doing. If you're a young guy who lives in Royal Oak, for example, life's going to look a little bit different than if you're a family living over in Harrison Township and you've got 2 children and a wife and all grass to cut and all those different things. You're not going out to the local bars at night. You're not going out to watch the sports games at friends' houses. You've got a different lifestyle that exists when you live in that type of environment. You need to be prepared for that. Is that a lifestyle that you see changing in the future? And if so, it's going to determine and change what it is that you actually want to purchase. Going along with that is, does it fit the needs of you and your family and your lifestyle and what it is that you do? Things like commute to school, commute to work, amenities that exist around the area, and also safety. One of the things that, we didn't super take into consideration when it came to moving where we live. I live out in the country. It's awesome. A lot of you who are watching this might be in a similar spot where you're like, hey, I just want some acreage. I want to be away from people. That's awesome. It's good. It comes with some negatives though. If you need things like an ambulance, if you have health problems, if you, a dispute happening within the house, or you need to call police for some reason, or EMS, or whatever it is, the time that it takes for them to get out there, it takes a little bit longer. It's just one of the things that people don't really consider when it comes to buying a house. It is important. It is smart to look through that lens. So you kind of got to think through that as well. So overall, all the things that you guys need to be thinking through when it comes to buying a house or considering the idea of purchasing a home, kind of your first step is to assess your income, determine what your budget might be when it comes to buying that house, know your credit score, prepare for any additional costs that might come up. How long do you plan to stay in that location? Any life changes that happen during that time, or life changes that you see coming up in the future? And then also, does that home, does it fit the lifestyle that you intend to live for at least the next couple of years during the time that you're there? So these are all things to consider when it comes to buying a house. And if you're thinking about doing that, reach out to us over here at MacDon Associates. Happy to set you up on any searches that we might have of homes that are coming on the market before they even go to Zillow or Realtor.com. We'd love to get those to you, but then also connecting you with a good quality loan officer so that you're able to really get a good picture of your financial situation, what you qualify for, what your payment will be. That way you can take the next steps of determining, does it make sense for me to do this now, or does it make sense for me to wait? So that's kind of your first step when it comes to the home buying process and assessing all of your needs. Questions to consider when it comes to doing that. Very thankful that I could share this with you, and hopefully you're able to think through all these things when it comes to then taking your next step of reaching out to us and a loan officer in determining your next steps post that taking place. Hopefully this was useful for you. Besides that, you guys have a blessed day. See ya.